Hey guys, hey. All right, so I am checking to see we are live, Operation Sexy Body via StreamYard. We are attempting to see, okay, I'm live. Awesome, yay. Oh, let me close this door. Let me close this door, guys. Hey guys, hey. We are live. I'm excited. All right, so as soon as you come in the chat, I want you to let me know that you're here. Let me know that you can see and hear me okay. If you are not subscribed to the channel, make certain that you subscribe. And after 1 minute, you're able to comment. So I want to make sure that you guys come in and I can see you. I cannot, until someone comments, I can't see if you guys are live. So let me tell all the people, all your Instagram cousins and them, that we are live. But I came on a couple minutes early so that we could just make sure our conversation is recording and all the people are where they are supposed to be. So give me 2 seconds to tell everybody we are live. Hey guys, we're live. Look. Oh, that's too close. Look, I'm talking. Look, we're live. So hop on, okay? All right. So I wanted to introduce myself to some of you all and welcome those of you all who kind of understand what my channel is about. But I am Lynette Williams, aka Operation Sexy Body, and I am a women empowerment coach. And basically, I help women all across the United States live a healthier and fulfilling life. And I do that by using fitness as my modality of therapy. So anytime you go to a therapist or anytime you go to a trainer or a nutritionist or a dietitian, any professional that you go to, they'll have a certain way that they like to conduct their business. And for me, I have noticed that fitness is the cornerstone of life lessons and is the cornerstone of ways to engage in your life and how fitness can teach you so many things. Does that mean that you have to be a professional bodybuilder or some type of like fitness professional to be successful in life? No, but the tools and the dedication and the consistency that you show in your fitness life most oftentimes always spills over into other aspects of your life. So I have a great connection. I verified that I'm live. I can see everything that I need to see. And that's all we care about at this moment. So we had a couple more minutes, but I just wanted to, kind of welcome you guys as you come in. If you are going to watch this in replay, this is the time for you to get your water. See, I have my water right here. I just drank 1.5 of those. So this stream may be kind of short because I may have to use the bathroom. But no, seriously, make sure that you are in a place where you can kind of sit, or if you have headphones or earpods, that you can listen, because these conversations are meant to be interactive. These conversations are meant to not for me to just kind of talk to you, just kind of talk the whole time. I really want you to comment. I really want you to engage with me, because this is the way that I get to understand where people are in their life and how I can be more effective in helping them. If you have not seen, we got two more minutes. If you have not seen the most recent posts that I posted on Operation Sexy Body Instagram, I did my first of many community events, and it just happened to be my birthday. And I said, let me give myself the gift of new friends and fitness through throwing this event. And what it showed me is that there is a deep desire for connection in the community. There is a deep desire for people to want to connect with other people. Some people are intimidated by fitness. Some people say, they look at a person, not necessarily me, but they may look at a person and say, wow, I can't do that. Or, wow, I wish I could do that. Or, wow, she can do that and I can. And so they just don't want to do anything. And so my goal, not only in the community events, but on this channel, is to really make fitness approachable and to make it fun and to make it aspiring, right? Like if you don't look at someone and say, wow, like that motivates me to be better, or wow, I just literally right before I logged on here, I saw a video of a 59-year-old, I think it was, She was 59 years old, and she was doing push-ups with, I think she started with like 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, 25, and then 30 or something like that. And so she was doing a push-up, and then she was rowing. And I'm like, man, I really want to do that. So she's 59 doing these push-ups in her kitchen. I'm like, man, that motivates me. So that is the whole reason behind following content creators who use fitness. Is to be inspired, is not to be intimidated. So if you guys are just joining, it is 5 o'clock. I'm going to give my introduction again because I got on early because I wanted to make certain that I could see everybody and that everything was doing what it needed to do. So I am Lynette Williams, aka Operation Sexy Body. If you are coming into the chat live, please, or even if you're watching this replay, please comment. You have to subscribe to the Operation Sexy Body YouTube page. After 1 minute, you are able to comment. So make sure you subscribe, not only because I want to see your comments, but 2, we have a lot more content coming to this page. But number 3, even if you are watching this in the replay, your comments and questions and interactions will be made visible to everyone who kind of comes on this channel. So I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm being very transparent. It would be very easy for me to do this only on Instagram because that's where, 13,000 plus people are my followers. Hey, Tamara, good evening. It'd be very easy for me to do my conversations on Instagram because that's where my followers are. But I really want to grow this page. I really want to have more of an interactive conversation with you guys. So here we are. So again, I'm Lynette Williams, aka Operation Sexy Body. And I absolutely, if you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that fitness is my jam. But what you don't realize potentially, which I need to do a better job of, is really connecting fitness with the life lessons that I personally practice in my personal life, as well as what I teach my clients to do. I am an accountability coach, so I lead small groups, medium-sized groups, as well as converse with corporations as it relates to pairing fitness with the life lessons that life brings us. It is my personal belief that the dedication, the consistency, the focus, the adjustments that we put into our fitness life transfers over into other aspects of our life. So if you can't be a super disciplined person in fitness and then completely lack discipline in your professional life. You can't do the things that you need to do to increase your fitness capability or your consistency in the kitchen, i.e. nutrition, and you're not being strategic in your professional life. So what my personal modality is to really invest in it, not only to invest, but to investigate ways that we can bring fitness into life lessons. And so today's lesson is just that. It is about boundaries. So I want to go ahead and jump and get started. Again, this is going to be a interactive conversation. So hopefully you are in a place, in a space that you can kind of type, or if you want to be invited on the stream, there is a link that I will post in the comment section for you to say, hey, I want to come on to the stream live. And I just posted that so you can see that. All right, so let's get started. So today's talk is about boundaries. So I shortened it to just say boundaries because you can't write all of what I wanted to write in the graphic, but I labeled it Boundaries Equals Freedom: How Setting Limits Unlocks Success in Your Fitness and Business and in your life. I was toying with that, or Say Yes to Yourself: The Power of Boundaries for a Stronger You. So I don't know which one you like. Hopefully you like both of them, if you like either or, but that is the topic for today. It's about you. It's about setting boundaries and really starting to kind of think about, as I have this conversation, hopefully interactive conversation, how can I set better boundaries in my life? And then thinking, if I haven't set firm boundaries, or if I haven't been able to establish and keep the strong boundaries that I may have set for myself and in my life, what repercussion does that have for my life? So kind of think about that. All right. So I always like to define whatever I'm talking about. Number one, because it allows everyone to be on the same page. It is necessary to have any sort of meaningful conversation, to make certain that you and I, or whomever you're talking to, you say, hey, what are we talking about? You ever been in those situations where you end up having a conversation and you go, wait, what'd you say? What are you talking about? It's because somewhere along the line, the misalignment or the miscommunication about whatever you're talking about is like, it's over somebody's head. So boundaries are something that indicates or fixes a limit or extent. Okay, so that's the technical definition of a boundary. I'll repeat it. A boundary is something that indicates or fixes a fixed point, limit, or extent. Like you get to a construction zone and they have it cordoned off. Okay, that's a boundary. You cannot go beyond this. If you go beyond this, you're going to be in wet cement. You're going to be over the edge. The bridge runs out. The road stops, whatever it may be. So this means stop. It's a hard stop. Okay. If you're just coming in, welcome. Make sure that you comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And after 1 minute, if you are newly subscribed, you can comment. Just let me know that you're here. Okay. All right. So in my ideation about, this is how I go about having these conversations with you guys. I pray about it, number one, but number two, I kind of use what my clients and I talk about and kind of look whatever's on social media or just kind of in life, kind of what theme keeps coming up. And as it comes up, I jot it down in a journal. And then once that certain thing continues to come up, I kind of like dive into it. So that's how boundaries came up. It came up last month and I said, no, I really want to talk to them about this other stuff. So that's why it got pushed to this month, but it continues to come up. So, all right. So what are boundaries when we think, so we've defined it, but what are they really and how can we kind of identify them in our life? Boundaries are the limits and rules that we set for ourselves within relationships. And that can be personal relationships, that can be professional relationships, that can be any type of interpersonal, meaning you to someone else, any type of relationship. What I found very interesting is that whenever I was having conversations or just kind of listening to other conversations as it relates to boundaries, people always seem to think that boundaries are for other people. And they're not. Boundaries are for you. So again, boundaries are the limits and rules that we set for ourselves within relationships. So boundaries are not, so other people will do this and other people won't do that. Boundaries are for us. Okay. So let's have this conversation with us in mind. Let me make certain I'm not missing any comments. Hey, Dr. Willette, nice to see you. All right. So after we define boundaries, after we kind of understand what we are really talking about as it relates to boundaries in our personal life, what is the psychology behind boundaries? Like, why do we need them? So psychology is the study of why people do the things that they do. So why do we need boundaries? Are they necessary? It could be overkill, or, I'm a go with the flow type of person. I really don't need boundaries. People don't really upset me like that. I kind of just do whatever, the path of least resistance. So the psychology behind boundary setting is very interesting. All right. So boundaries are interpersonal limits that we just discussed. So from person to person, from you to another person, and they're shaped by our personality, our culture, and context. So other parts of the world may consider certain things disrespectful, inadmissible, and or on the other side, necessary. So culturally, you're not supposed to look certain religions and certain cultures. Your men and women, not only can they not worship together, but in some instances, you can't even look a person of the opposite sex in the eye, right? But here in the US, you're like, hello. Okay, eye contact, it's necessary. That's what they teach you in job interviews, right? So contextually, we have to understand boundaries and what that looks like. All right. So healthy boundaries require self-awareness, clear communication, and respect. Self-awareness is huge. Self-awareness is huge. Because you can't set a boundary if you flopping all over the place as it relates to like what you believe in or what ticks you off or what you require out of someone. It can't just be whatever you feel that day. All right. So self-awareness, clear communication, and respect. You cannot hold someone in your life to a boundary that you have never set. And that is very difficult for some people to conceptualize, because the phrase that I normally get is something along the lines of, well, they should just know that. No, people shouldn't just know that. They have no idea. They have no idea, especially if people have known you for a significant amount of time over a significant era of different phases of your life. Like people that grew up with you, that have seen you grow up, that have seen you potentially get married or be established in your career, that may potentially have seen you have kids, potentially may have seen those kids grow up, or if you were working 9 to 5 and then you transition into entrepreneurship, or whether you do all of the above. People just don't sometimes know, because the person that you were, you're not the same person 10 years ago that you are today. You require different stuff. So when we talk about self-awareness, communication, and respect, that those boundaries are going to be totally different from the 18-year-old version of you. Completely different. And so you have to train people how to treat you. And you train them by constantly updating your boundaries. And it may seem difficult. It may seem kind of ick. It may seem kind of like, uncomfortable. But the reason that we have differences in misalignment in our relationships is because we don't have clear boundaries. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something before I go to my next note. Okay. One of my boundaries has always been, but even more so now in my big old age, time. Anybody who was my client, anybody who sees me on Instagram, when I post like my good mornings to y'all at 3 something in the morning, I am a freak about time. If you want to send me over the edge, be late. Be late. Be late, and I understand things happen, right? But be late and then don't tell me that you're going to be late, or tell me that you're going to be late after you already late. Like if I had this one hairstylist, I promise I'm not going to get off topic because I have notes. I had this one hairstylist. This is back when I was long and relaxed. Okay. So this is a long time ago. And I remember she came highly recommended. This was before social media. She came highly recommended. I loved her hair when I went for my consultation. That's back when people had consultations. Anyway, I went every single week because, again, I was relaxed. No, I had cut my hair was short actually, and I was growing it out. So she was growing me out from short to long. And my appointment was at 9 o'clock every Friday because I had a standing 11 o'clock meeting, like a Zoom meeting. So I had to be like seated. Anyway, long story short, maybe a month, maybe 2 months after I started going weekly, it would be 9:15, 9:20. And she would come in with Starbucks. Now, how you gonna be late with Starbucks? So I let it ride for a couple weeks, and it was just eating at me and eating at me. So then I said, "Hey, sis, do I need to change my appointment? Because you late." And she said, I just moved and I'm still trying to get acclimated to the traffic. I'm like, okay. So do they have Starbucks at your house? Like, I'm confused, because if you're still trying to get acclimated to the traffic, how you have time to stop for Starbucks? Okay, so after that conversation, it made it worse. Because I was trying to be nice and I was trying to be amenable. I was trying to be understanding. I was trying not to set a boundary because it was a new relationship that I really enjoyed, that I kind of really needed, because, I didn't know how to do my hair at that point in growing it out. And so it got a little bit better, but then it got worse. So instead of like 9:10, 9:15, it started to be like 9:25. And so she said, you know what, maybe we should just change your appointment to 9:30. I'm like, great. That way I don't have to rush from the gym. I can actually go home instead of bringing all my clothes to the gym. So that boundary of her setting a different time allowed me to kind of do what I needed to do. So my 9:30 appointment then became a 9:40, 9:45 arrival. And I said, you know what, this is not working out for me. And she got very upset. And she's like, Lynette, stuff happens. I said, stuff don't happen every Friday at 9 o'clock in the Starbucks line. So I severed that relationship immediately, not because I didn't value it, but because I valued myself more. And I think a lot of times in our relationships with people, we are so concerned about how they're going to take something rather than putting ourselves first and allowing the respect. Remember, we just got through talking about how boundaries need self-awareness, communication, and respect. She had zero self-awareness, because where do they do that at? That you can just be 30, 40 minutes late for work and not get docked or not have some type of repercussion. But because I was so amenable, you thought it was okay. Like, if I were 30 minutes late, would you accept that? And then no call? Anyway. All right, so let me get back to the topic. So healthy boundaries require self-awareness, clear communication, and respect. So I thought this was very interesting. So I was kind of Googling and researching like men versus women. So again, if you guys are just coming into the chat, make certain that you just say, hey, so I know that you're here. I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation thus far. If you do have questions or comments, feel free to click the link that I posted. You can come up on the live real time, or you can just type your comment and then I can read it, okay? So 70% of women struggle with saying no. So if you can think of yourself and 9 other friends, so 10 of y'all are in a room, 7 of you all are going to say that you find it difficult to say no. I was like, so why do women, comparative to men were half of that. Men have virtually no issue with saying no. My husband will say no in a minute. Lynette, I'm just not going to be able to do that, right? He's amenable. He's, accommodating. But if it's something outside of his wheelhouse or like capability at that given moment, he's like, Lynette, I'm not going to do that. Me and us women, we're going to try to fly from one place to another just to do both events. We're going to have to not eat because it's going to take too much time to chew and because we got to do this and that, right? All right. So 70% of women said that they struggle with saying no. Women were more likely to report feeling guilty for setting boundaries in close relationships, and they tend to experience anxiety and stress when doing so in the workplace. Over 50%. So over half the women that you, inclusive of you and your friends, find it difficult for setting boundaries. Isn't that wild? Like, why do we feel guilty about saying no? It's wild. Okay, so think about that. You don't have to answer, but just think about, are you one of the 50% that feel guilty when you say no? All right, 14% of women find boundaries easy to set, but 34% feel pressured to say yes initially, and 13% end up being pressured into something against their will. So we say yes when we don't want to say yes. Why? That is wild. That we continue to put ourselves in compromising positions and in relationships and in states that don't serve us. And we feel guilty about it. What? Who taught us that? At what point in life did we say, you know what? We're just going to say yes, even though we don't want to. We're going to sacrifice ourselves, our time, our energy, our whatever, because the other person is more important. All right, let me read the comments. Hey, Beverly. Hey, Tanya Thomas. I hope it's Tanya. Is it Tania or Tanya? Please correct me, because I am another thing I'm a freak about. Not only is it time, but spelling and getting people's names right, because people spell my name with one N and it literally drives me up a wall. Dr. Willette says this topic is so needed. Thank you for doing this. I am so grateful that you find it beneficial, and this is only because you guys said that this is a topic that keeps coming up in your life, right? Like in relationships, in our personal relationships, in our work relationships. This is needed. So thank you guys for doing that. Yvette says, I'm loving these talks. Yay, Yvette. Thank you so much for coming, and please come back. Well, you're not going anywhere right now, but please come back soon, right? All right. So why do boundaries matter? So we defined boundaries. We talked about the psychology behind boundaries. We talked about some statistics about boundaries. So why does it matter? It is the foundation of life to set boundaries. Our children have boundaries. You're not just going to go outside. You're not going to go outside without any shoes on. Why? Because you could get hurt. You're not going to go outside with, when I was a kid, my mother would not let me go outside with rough, dry, or wrinkled clothes on. And I'm like, why, Mom? Don't nobody care that my clothes are rough, dry, or wrinkled? Because it's a way that you present yourself. Now, I understand that because I see my kids in rough, dry stuff. I'm like, take that off. Take that off, right? You're not going to go outside with a bonnet on your head. You're just not. It is a self-respect thing that has nothing to do with anyone else. And hopefully, if you guys who just joined a little later on, but we talked about boundaries being something that we do for us. Let me repeat it to be exact. Boundaries are the limits and rules that we set for ourselves. Boundaries have nothing to do with anybody else, but they are the rules that we set for ourselves. And why is it so difficult for us to set rules for ourselves? We can set rules for everybody else. You got to clock in, work on time. You got a time to, get off. You have a certain amount of time to get through the light when it's green, and then you got to stop when it's red. So there are boundaries all over the place. So why do we find it so hard to set boundaries for ourselves? All right. So why does it matter? You can't show up strong in the gym if you're drained from overgiving to other people. I don't care what happens in this house after 6:30 p.m. I don't care. I do not care. As long as my family is safe and in the house, I don't care what y'all do. Mommy, do we have to go to sleep? Nope, stay up all night. I don't care what you do. But the boundary that I'm setting to keep my peace so that I can do my selfish time. And fortunately enough, I am blessed to be able to have a space, right? To have a space where I can work out. But there were times when we did not live in this house that I didn't have a space. I used to have to wake up. Let me tell you this, and I promise you, I mean, if you search long enough on my feed, you'll see this. I used to work out in the garage. Rain, sleet, snow, cold, hot. It was a 2-car garage. I used to have to bag my car out of the garage. I had a space heater that was about as big as my head. And I would get up at 3:00 in the morning. I would turn that space heater on and let it run in the garage for an hour when it was cold. That was my boundary. I'm like, I cannot afford. I had a new baby. Zion was little, right? So I had a new baby. There was no other option. What was the option? For me to complain about me not having a space? No. So I did what I had to do. So in order to show up fully in your life, you have to set boundaries and take care of yourself. All right. This is where, so not only can you not show up strong in the gym, if you're drained from overgiving somewhere else, you can't show up strong at home for your family if you're overgiving somewhere else. If I don't work out first thing in the morning, if I don't give myself that time, if I don't do my meditation and work out and be selfish, I cannot be selfless for my family. I can't give myself to my family. My kids wake up at 5:30 around every single day, rain, sleet, snow, weekday, weekend. I cannot give to them until they go to bed at 6:30 p.m. if I haven't given something to myself. Because not only am I going to work out while they're doing something else, I'm taking time that I could spend with them to do something that I could have done earlier. But in order to do that, I got to go to bed on time. In order to do that, I have to eat right so that I'm fueling myself correctly, so that I'm not like a crab apple the whole time, right? So it's not just the boundary that you set, but it's all the stuff that you do before to be able to effectively set that boundary with self-awareness. So I am self-aware that I am a crab apple when I do not work out. Okay. Now self-awareness, respect, and clear communication. Everybody in this house knows I don't care what go on, leave me alone, let me sleep. Okay. So I have clear expectations and boundaries set as it relates to my self-awareness that I'm a crab apple if I don't work out. My communication, I am very clear. Hey guys, mommy needs her rest. Do not, if you wake up, do not come down in this gym. This is mommy's time. I used to feel so guilty, like, oh my gosh, my kids, I don't want them to think that. Think whatever you want to think. I see people in videos working out with their kids. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. That's just not me at this point. Until you can pick up some 10-pound dumbbells and do some squats and deadlifts and burpees, I don't want you down here. All right, so this is the interactive time. So hopefully you're in a space that you can write back to me. But where do you struggle most with boundaries? Is it your job? Like, do you get off at a certain time and then find yourself there still 2 hours later? Is it family? Does your family always kind of pull at you for different things and you find it very difficult to say no to them? What about social media? Are you a scroller and you find yourself so tired because you can't set a boundary, a time limit with social media? What is it? What do you guys think? Where do you... Tanya. Okay, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah, I would have jacked that all up. I'm like, Tania. Okay, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya, for correcting me. I appreciate you. All right, so where do you guys struggle the most? Let me make sure that I'm not missing any comments. Okay, I'm good. And if you guys want to come up on the screen as well, I have posted, let me show you this link. So if you go to this link that I posted in the comments, you will see that you can actually come up live and have a conversation. So Tamara says, social media. Social media. That is a hard one. I'll give you guys a little nugget for free. So in my accountability groups with my clients, I taught them something called deload and reload. And one of the concepts about deload and reload is that you shut off the screens, whatever they may be, an hour before you go to bed, and you don't do it an hour when you wake up. And an overwhelming response, there are a couple of other things that go along with it, but one of the things that everyone has said is that it's so helpful because you can literally you can get down this rabbit hole of just looking at stuff and oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then you can click links and it can be hours. And then you say to yourself, well, I don't have time to do other things, but you got time to scroll, right? We'll talk about ways that we can get rid of that. All right, Nubian Queen says scrolling on social media. So Tamara, you are in good company. So Nubian Queen says scrolling on social media. I know she does this emoji. Yes, it is a thing. It is a true thing. I mean, there are all types of ways that we can combat scrolling and setting boundaries, because it's important. It really is. Anything that you do, there has to be a limit on it. There has to be some sort of strategy, some strategic way of utilizing this tool to get to a certain thing. So you're not... Great company. All right. Dr. Willette says time management, boundaries almost non-existent. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. You're not the only one. And you know what the great thing is about when you speak your truth? You're not the only one. Time management. And I'm going to say this and then I'm going to clean it up. Time management is so easy because you control it. You control your time. Do you not? Why do we feel so helpless with things that we 100% control? Now, depending on your job, depending on the hours you work, you cannot 100% control your time, right? Because you have patients, you have responsibilities, you may have charts, you may have notes to do. So that is not the controllable, right? But in that time, you have the opportunity to say, you know what? I can't take on any more clients. I can't take on any more patients. I can't take on anything else because something is going to have to give. Either I'm not going to work 6-7 days a week or 5 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. And then I get home and I'm so exhausted that all I want to do is veg out and just binge watch TV or scroll on social media because I'm so overwhelmed. And then I can't work out because I don't have the energy, but I'm supposed to. So then I'm stressed. And then I'm going to force myself to stress again, doing a stress of working out. And then I feel defeated. And then that doesn't leave me any time to like love on myself. What am I supposed to have time to figure out what I enjoy in life if I'm always so tired? But you got to do your time management. But that's one of the things we'll talk about. All right. Yvette says, family, I always think they need me, but actually I'm realizing that I've just allowed them to be selfish. I'm going to leave that up there. I'm going to pause and leave that up there for 1 second. That is so valid and so true. The reason that you feel that they are using you or that you've allowed them to be selfish with you is because you have not set a boundary. I guarantee you, if you said no to them one good time and have had self-awareness to say no, if you had clear communication and respect, you can't fight that. You cannot fight a boundary that is clear and respectful. You just can't do it. You cannot do it. Okay. That was good. Hey, Dr. Shakita. Hey, Dr. Elda. She also says we have to remember that we have choices. We do have choices, right? And choosing not to choose a boundary is a choice. So you got to make certain that when you are thinking about the boundaries that you want to set in your life, you have to think about the alternative. Like, what if I don't set this boundary? What will my life become? Am I going to be stressed out in the hospital? God rest his soul. My dad, when he was here, he passed away almost 7 years ago. He was stressed out so much that it sent him to the hospital a few times. I'm like, how are you stressed out about somebody that don't even pay your bills and that you don't pay their bills? You upset about them and their life and their decisions and their choices. That has nothing to do with you. But you're such an empath. And a lot of us are empaths to a certain degree, right? Like we care about people. I mean, who doesn't, right? But like we care about people. We care about their feelings. We care about their life. We care about their misgivings. We care about them. So to a certain point, we take that on, but you have to understand a boundary of self-preservation is knowing when to cut that off, when to shut the phone off. It kills me every time my mother's gonna watch this. So shout out to my mama. I'll call her and she'll say, "Hey babe, I'm about to go to the bathroom. Can I call you right back?" Why you answer the phone, Mom? "Hey babe, I'm about to get in the shower. Can I call you right back?" Just don't answer the phone. If I am doing something that I am indisposed or I am not at an ability to talk, I'm just not going to answer the phone. But that's a boundary that I've set because I'm stressed out about running to the phone. I remember one time I answered the phone. My husband called. You know, when your man calls, you feel like, you got to like jump through hoops to answer it, right? So this was years and years ago. I think this was the same house where the garage was. It was. Anyway, he called and then he called again. So I thought something was wrong. So I'm in the shower and I pick up the phone and I'm like, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to see what you were doing." And I'm like, "I'm in the shower." And he was like, "Well, can you talk to me? Because, I want to go over something with you." And I was like, "Sure." End up dropping the phone in the shower. Ruined phone. Lesson learned. Don't call me. If you call me twice, I'm gonna call you back in 3 minutes. I promise you. I think you'll be okay. So that was a boundary. Like, I'm not gonna ruin another phone just to answer the phone. Or I could have said, "Hey, I'm in the shower. Are you okay? Can I call you right back?" Okay. All right. Dr. Beverly Williams says, family, feeling guilty if I say no. Yeah. No is a complete sentence, and usually family and others always figure something else out. That's a good point, that no is a complete sentence. So we're going to talk about, let me get to the next set of conversation topics, because we're going to talk about how to really expand. So although no is a complete sentence, we are going to expand. For most people, that's uncomfortable. Hey, can you take me to the airport? I really need a ride to the airport. My flight is at 6 a.m. and I just really need a ride. You can't say no. No. How uncomfortable is that? But you could say, I'm not going to be able to do, like, we'll talk about that, but we can expand to our level of comfortability, how we set boundaries. Okay. So let me get into what boundaries really are. Okay. So we defined it. We talked about the psychology behind it. We talked about some statistics. We talked about why it matters. Now, let me tell you the basics and what boundaries really are. The myth is that boundaries are selfish. They are not. They allow you to be selfless. So boundaries allow me to be selfless. Boundaries allow me to be selfless. Write that in your journal, write that in on your affirmations, on a Post-it note. Boundaries allow me to be selfless. Okay. They are self-care. It's a way that you care for yourself. It's a way that you love on yourself. Just like we like to get our hair and nails and feet done and get massages and do all these other things. This is how we show self-care, is by setting boundaries in our life. And people who truly, not even just love us, but people who like us as people, like who respect us, they're going to be okay with your boundary setting, hopefully, right? All right. So boundaries are selfless. They're self-care. They create space for what matters. I always say, I'm getting a shirt made that says selfish over selfless. Because it truly matters. Like, I have to, like, self-preservation. You are the only person living in your body. And as you all may know, you may have seen this personally in your life, or you may have seen it in other people. If you are in a space where you're so ramped up and worked up about somebody else, it can create psychosomatic effects in your health. You ever notice, like, when you're super stressed out or super worried about something or someone, you end up getting sick? Your immune system has withered itself all the way down, that now you are susceptible to all kind of germs and stuff, and you're sick. They are going and living their best life. And you're the one that is sick, stomach hurt, can't eat, can't sleep, headache, lack of appetite, or binge eating, right? It could go both ways. You can't allow other people to stress you out. And the best way to not let people or situations stress you out is creating a boundary. Okay. All right. So let me give you some types of boundaries. Your time, again, because y'all heard me talk about time and how I'm such a freak about time. If you're late, I'm out. You late, I'm out. It's a very clear, concise, simple yin and yang. You in, you late, I'm out. I'm self-aware to know that that's one of my top pet peeves. I've definitely communicated to you clearly that wasting my time is unacceptable and disrespectful. Respectfully, I don't have to deal with it. Whenever I go somewhere, I always drive, because when I'm ready to go, I'm out. You late, I'm out. Simple. All right. Energy, get your rest. You cannot be effective in anything in life if you are sleep deprived. You can't. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed, because whatever is not done, guaranteed it'll be there in the morning. I am not going to sacrifice my rest, because if you don't get enough sleep at night, you're going to need a nap during the day. And most of us can't take a nap during the day. Number two, you end up being super snappy, super unfocused, super unproductive because you're sleep deprived, because you're scrolling on Instagram, or you let somebody else stress you out, or that workload that you feel like you have to stay up all night to finish and do, and that work is going to be there in the morning. Do you guys remember, I think it was MetLife or some type of insurance company, that lady was left in her cubicle for 4 days before they found her? She literally worked herself to death. Not me. Couldn't be me. These people in these jobs will stress you out so bad that you staying up late at night. And no, I remember, okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get to this last point, and then I'm gonna give you some homework, okay? Because my clients know I love a good homework. Let me make sure I'm not missing any comments. Oh, Dr. Shakita makes a good point. I love the do not disturb feature on the phone. That is a boundary, right? That is a great boundary. That's one of the things that I was going to say at the end. But there's so many features on all these devices that we have. There's so many features that allow us to set boundaries in our life that we didn't have before. Do not disturb. That's not do not disturb unless it's super important. That's do not disturb, because whatever is important enough for you to disturb me, it's going to be there when I take the do not disturb off. And there is a reason why I'm not trying to be disturbed right now. So not only does it allow you to focus on things that are important, but it allows you to care for yourself in the way of accomplishment. We feel so good about ourselves when we complete a task or when we set out to do something and we do it. The sense of accomplishment that I get every single morning when I wake up, and that boundary of me working out every day, it was a long time. It was a time when I was obese. You guys may have seen the picture I just posted. If you haven't, check out my Instagram page. It's like a pinned post. Excuse me. But when I was like 200 pounds and obese and I couldn't work out every day, I said, God, if you allow me the opportunity to use my body and to view it as your temple and to do what I need to do to get up, get active, and do something for myself. So that didn't just come to me because it's catchy. I literally prayed my way through obesity. I prayed my way through the spirit of gluttony and sloth. And it comes from a guttural place of just sheer grit to get me out of the bed, to be uncomfortable, to be tired, to be bursting through my clothes. And that grit has allowed me to be successful in other areas of my life. And that's what you guys are seeing, right? So in your life, you got to think about, well, what am I creating? The boundaries that I have in my life, or the lack thereof, how is that transferring into other areas of my life? And if I want to be more strategic and more successful in certain areas of my life, I got to set some boundaries over here. You're not going to be successful with no boundaries. It's not possible. It's not possible. You can fumble your way through and kind of get certain places, but if you really want all of what God has for you in your life, if you really want that stuff that you've had to pray for and you've had to work through and you've had to dig yourself out of the mud to get, if you want that stuff, you can't get it without setting boundaries. You just can't. All right, I just saw a comment come in. Dr. Willette says, I got to show this. She says, you preaching now. I'm telling you. I mean, so when that alarm goes off, I'm gonna show you right now because y'all know I'm not lying. You see that first alarm? Oh, hold on, sorry. That first alarm says 3:10 tomorrow morning. Every single day. Every day. It's not Monday through Friday. Every single day. And I take great pride, not because oh my gosh, I can get up at 3 o'clock. God don't care about that. Girl, get up whenever you want to. But for me, I know that my boundary is get up before the kids get up. Get up before the kids get up. They get up earlier, I get up earlier. That means I got to go to bed earlier. That is a boundary. And you got to think about ways in your life that you can set boundaries that other people respect. Because if you don't respect your boundaries, if you don't respect yourself enough to set them, why should anybody else? Why should she or he care that you really want to go work out, if every time they ask you, you be like, oh, okay, well, I'll work out later. Yeah, let's go eat. Or somebody at work calls you on your off day and you answer, what? I'm off. I am off. Figure it out. But that is a boundary that you have to set, because nobody is going to respect you or your boundaries if they don't have clear lines of awareness, effective communication, and respect. Nobody's going to do that if you don't do it for yourself. All right. So where did I leave off, child? Okay. So we talked about energy. So we talked about boundaries about time. We talked about boundaries about energy. Emotional. We just talked about things and people that stress you out, you delete, you ignore, do not disturb, mute, all of that. We talked about digital screen time, limiting screen time. Physically, I get this a lot just because I guess the nature of my page and other things like that. But physically, people say, oh my gosh, how do you get up so early in the morning? And there will be a time in my life, I've gotten up at 3 o'clock for over maybe 15 years, right? So even before I had kids, because I figured that was a time for me. I find it most efficacious, most effective to get up, get active, and do something for myself immediately. Can I do it at other times during the day? Sure. Am I dragging my feet about it? Absolutely. But I just know that about myself. So you gotta figure out where your sweet spot is. But if you have a planned rest day, great. Like today is Thursday, right? So if I say to myself, Saturday, I'm going to have a rest day, that's great. I never wake up and say, I don't feel like working out. The truth of the matter is, probably 40% of the time, I am not, maybe 50% of the time, I am not kicking flips when that alarm goes off. But I know I have a responsibility. I know in obedience, God is going to reward me for my obedience. And not necessarily in pounds lost, although I wish that was like a 1-to-1 ratio, right? But because I am honoring myself, I am honoring God's commitment to me. I am honoring my commitment to him and honoring my temple. Now, if I have a rest day, that's great, but I never wake up and say, oh, I don't feel like it, so I'm not going to do it. Honor your boundary, honor your own boundary. If you say that I'm going to work out 3 days this week, if I'm going to work out 4 days this week, if I'm going to only eat out one meal this week, don't go back on your own boundary, because you can see that if you don't respect your own boundary that you have 100% set for yourself, how can you expect other people in your life to respect you? They won't. And so then you find yourself always feeling like you're never really invested in the life that you want, because your boundaries are all over the place. You can't even call them boundaries. You can call them like pauses or something. Like you can't even say it's a boundary, because it's like, I'll set it if I want. I'll change it if I want. Boundaries are things that you set for yourself. So if you know yourself, like hopefully that we all do at our ages, if you know that you're not going to work out 6 days a week, don't say I'm gonna work out 6 days a week, because you just set yourself up. Start slow, start implementing things that will allow you to do this consistently. Even if it's a smaller goal, do that consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And then expand, and then watch your life in other areas do the same thing. So it's not just fitness. It's not just working out. It's not just at work. It's your life in total. All right. All right. So let me tell you how to set your boundaries, and I'm gonna let you go. All right. You set your boundaries by identifying your big yes. Okay. What are your priorities? Your health, your family, whatever goals you have. Identify your big yes. What are you saying yes to as often as you can? I'm saying yes to working out as often as I can. I'm saying yes to cooking as many meals as I can. I'm saying yes to not answering my phone after I get off of work. I'm saying yes to not checking my work email even when I don't have anything to do. And then this is the trick that we tell ourselves. I'm not going to check my work email. I'm going to check my work email now, even though I'm off or on vacation, because I don't want to come back to a load of emails when I get back. Well, isn't that the point of vacation? So you don't have to check your email. So like if I'm on PTO, like paid time off, those emails will be okay. Those people will be okay because they know I'm not going to respond. But when you respond and you're supposed to be off, they're going to keep emailing you. All right. So identify what your big yes is. Communicate clearly. When people tell you something that is outside of your scope of desire, whatever it may be, have a script of like what you say. I wrote down, I apologize that I'm not able to take that on, but I appreciate you thinking of me. You know, there are people that reach out to me sometimes to do like community events, and I'm like, absolutely. You know, like what is XYZ? And I can get very clear about the type of event it is. And if they're all over the place, or I don't know, the time has changed, the contact person has changed. I email the person who emailed me, they never email me back. Somebody else, okay, I'm not gonna do that. Because if it is dysfunctional at the planning stage, I'm not gonna stress myself out. Money or not, I turned down a significant amount of money to do some event because I just didn't feel like the event was a great idea. It was a great concept. It was great money, but the communication was horrid. I'm not gonna do that to myself because I would be so mad the whole time because I don't like going in spaces ill-equipped. I like to know who I'm meeting. I like to know who I'm talking to. I want to know what is expected of me. I want to know what my other deliverables are. And if you can't clearly communicate that to me before I say yes, or in the interim of me saying yes, I'm out. So communicate clearly what your boundaries are. Okay. That's how you set boundaries. And if you need to, write them down. Right? Like write them down. We write everything else down. We write our appointments down. We don't miss hair appointments. We don't miss nail appointments. We don't miss doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. Because if we do, there may be a late fee. I got to cancel within 24 to 48 hours. And if I do cancel within that time, I may be subject to a late fee or a no call show fee or whatever it is. So you absolutely, I'm like, oh, I can't do that appointment. Let me call before I get a late fee. That's a boundary that company has set, and you follow suit. You don't call them and say, well, please don't charge me because I don't feel like that's fair. No, either you accept their boundary or you move on to someone else who has a no policy about no shows or late people. Most stylists, nail, hair, whatever, hey, you got a 15-minute grace period. If you are outside of that 15-minute grace period, your appointment can be rescheduled. You are busting all kind of tail in high water to get to that appointment because you don't want to have your appointment canceled, or you don't want to have to pay a late fee. That's a boundary. And you accept it if you accept the appointment, you accept all of that comes along with that appointment. So when people interact with you, this is what you get. I'm going to correct somebody every time they spell my name wrong. Not because I think that they're doing it out of malice. There are 1,000 ways to spell Lynette, but it's a name that my dad gave me. And I love my name. And in correcting people about the boundary of 2 N's in Lynette, it's honoring my dad. Now, do I tell everybody that every time I say, oh, by the way, my name is 2 N's? No, but that's the way that I set my boundary. Was it uncomfortable when I first started doing it? I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so weird. How do I say it? Hey, by the way, I see that my name sometimes, it auto corrects by itself, but my first name has 2 N's. Thank you so much. Self-aware that bothers me. 2, I have clear communication. And 3, I was respectful. How can you not love that boundary? All right, let me see what y'all talking about. All right, Yvette talking about amen. All right, so this is your homework, okay? So this is your homework. I want you to create one boundary. Okay. I updated my software, so it's asking me what hand gesture I'm doing. It thinks I'm dancing. Anyway, okay, I want you to create one boundary by next week. Just one. Solamente uno. One boundary that you will implement next week. there will come a time on my Instagram, OperationSexyBody page, where I'm going to ask you to post about your boundary and how it manifested itself from the time that you set the boundary until I ask for it. Okay? This is how I do I got a couple of my accountability group members, my clients in the chat. They will tell you I love a good homework assignment. So I want you to set one boundary that you're going to implement by next week. And then when I call there's going to be a post talking about boundaries. I want you to tell me about your boundary and how you set it. Okay? And overall, there are going to be opportunities for us to set boundaries in our life that aren't going to go so well. So we may have to revise them. We may have to adjust them. We may have to adjust them based on the group, right? So you may have boundaries in your professional life that you don't have in your personal life, or vice versa. There may be boundaries that you set in your fitness life that you don't set with your relationships, like your marriage or your significant other relationships, right? So don't think like it's an all or nothing type of thing, but you know your life best. You know the people in your life best. You know the situations in your life best. So if you find an area, like we had a couple people talk about their family that is lack of boundaries. Dr. Willette talked about time management, so that could be your thing. Like, how can I better manage my time? Tamara talked about social media. So in addition to the deload, reload, like how else can I set a boundary in my life that will allow me to be the highest and best self that I see myself in? How can I show up so full and effective for everybody else in my life by setting boundaries that only I control and that I set for myself? So do you guys have any questions? You guys have any questions, any comments, anything that you want to say before I log off? I really wanted this to be no more than an hour, and we are 4 minutes before that. So I'm so happy that this worked out with the stream to allow you guys so that I can see your comments really live time. Dr. Willette says, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you guys. All right, let me see if I can. I'm just going to go for the gusto today, and let me attempt to share two. Okay. I'm going to attempt to share 3 things, right? I feel like my kids are going to come through the ceiling. Okay. All right. Boundaries. If someone throws a fit because you set boundaries, it's just more evidence the boundary is needed. And I'll post these on my stories and Instagram so you guys can see them. So that's one of them. Let me tell you something. I am doing all kind of new stuff today, and I am here for it. Okay. All right. The second one is love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how you use it. You teach people how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept. Last and certainly but not least, givers need to set limits because takers rarely do. That's all I got. That's all I got for you guys. Well, I am super excited about our conversation tonight. I am personally proud of myself for not only using a streaming software, but bringing up my graphics. One of the boundaries that I'm setting for myself is to utilize some of my downtime that I used to use for screen scrolling and digital and things like that, is to really invest not only, Beverly says the third one, so true. She's talking about this one, y'all. Givers need to set limits because takers rarely do. That's what spoke to my spirit too. That's why I saved it for last. But I am investing in myself by utilizing the time and the desire for what I desire to be set in preparing for this, right? Like, this is a big deal. this is a big deal to have these conversations with you all, because not only do I value you and your time, but I never want you to come to my page, never want you to come to a conversation, never want you to be in my presence and I am not of value to you. So to be able to do that, I have to set boundaries in other areas of my life to prepare myself to be the person that I desire to be. So I'm excited. Thank you, Dr. Shakita, for coming and saying that it's an awesome topic. So remember, do your homework, make certain that you send this to someone or tag someone in the comments that needs to see this, because the homework is going to be due next week at some point. So it is 5:59. I want to get out of here before the hour mark. So I thank you guys. I love you guys so much. And I will see you next month at the very least for our June 1st right here on YouTube for our conversation. And who knows what it'll be, but hopefully it'll be great and you'll find value in it. Okay, guys, have a great night.